we had tech support on just a second ago, which also means Jason's in the air right now, so he's not going to be here today. But don't leave, please. You got Matt and I to steer the ship. Thanks, everybody. We're going to give you a couple minutes to pour in. This is going to be great. I can tell with the amount of folks coming in right now, this is a very important topic for people. So I think it's awesome. All right, good. All right, how you doing, brother?
Doing good.
All right. Good, man. Good.
How's your weather? Warm and sunny?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, good call. 75 today.
Oh man.
I mean, it's like, yeah, California. Basically California 101 in the middle of April.
There you go.
Let me take a look. Yeah, we're 75 today, 80 to 85 over the next 10 days, foreseeable future. So the arrows in the green for cycling and being outside, you know. How about you, brother? How about you?
Snowing again here in Montana.
Are you serious? Oh, okay.
That's serious. So
oh, that's not fun.
Spring will get here in a month or two.
Yeah. Folks are still in hibernation, or some the local wildlife is still hibernating, I'm sure.
100%.
Calvin, what's up, brother? How are you? Everybody, give us a weather report if you don't mind, then we'll kick off episode 110. If this is your first time joining us, we like to know, because we have folks coming from all time zones and many states. Thank you, Paula. I appreciate that. I'm excited too. Everybody chats over there. You can chat away, chat with each other, chat with us. We got Q&A at the bottom. You can ask questions. You can ask them anonymously if you want, as well. Although it's not advised. And stay till the end. This is awesome. Stay till the end. We're going to do a giveaway for an auction item that you can use in your next silent auction, which would be really cool, right? And okay, Calvin, 40, cool, awesome. Any last comers with weather? You know how things are going in my world and Matt's world. But we are what are we? Novice meteorologists is what we are at HGA here. So yeah, just giving folks one more minute to come in. And I'm going through all this house. Oh, there you go. 80. Okay, Laura, right on. You might have us beat. You probably got a touch of humidity, maybe. I don't know. I'm in a drier climate over here. But I'll tell you what, it has been a very, very rainy winter here in California. No humidity yet. Good. Okay, awesome. Omaha, yeah, Tierra. Omaha has some crazy weather. I've been to Omaha. Worst humidity I've ever seen in my life, and of course some ice, in different seasons. So pretty crazy there. We have had such a wet winter. I was traveling for a couple weeks, came home, and the sun came out, and the oak trees here popped the most magnificent green that you could ever imagine. I looked outside when I got home, and I was like, wow, it feels good to be home. So I had already told Matt that earlier this week. So, but anyone that'll listen, very, very cool. So anywho, what we got going on today, man, really, really thankful that you're here. What we have, everybody, is a silent auction masterclass. And I mean that in every way, shape, and form, because we have a gentleman, Team HGA member, Matt Ashley, with us today, Trevor Nelson, episode 110 of the HGA free webinar series. Thanks everyone for coming. Really, really, really cool topic that, sometimes we need more answers. And so we're going to have this discussion about, do's and don'ts. We're not really much of a don't organization. But we're going to talk about silent auction. And we're so grateful to have Matt on our team. And the reason why is because Matt is a professional fundraiser and was a professional fundraiser with the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation for a number of years, and has been on both sides, right, of the table, and worked with committees and boards and obviously donors and members, and has set up countless silent auctions, and very, very successful ones. So we're going to do an experience share with Matt and ask a lot of questions. Please keep the questions coming the entire time. That'd be fantastic. And I'll kind of moderate. I've got some questions of my own, as a matter of fact. And what's interesting, Matt, is we were just talking a little while ago, prepping for this, is that we've been a little rigid with our opinion about silent auctions, and I don't know if that's where we need to start, but I want to go ahead and and just clear the air and apologize for being a little rigid, because we've said things like we are in a lot of like galas, and we keep on saying less is more and this, that, and the other thing, and you don't need a lot of stuff in your silent auction. But you brought it to my attention, and I'm learning every day. You've done events where you've had 100 silent auction items, and we don't need to unpack all that right this second, but let's just start talking about silent auctions, brother. And thanks so much for coming. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were talking about that. I mean, I see every event is different. No event's the same.
Yep.
Gala to a
Yep.
large fundraising event, they can be completely different. Those atmospheres and the culture of what people expect for those events
Yep.
are just very different ends of the spectrum. But from the organization I come from, like you shared, we would have, fairly consistent, significant silent auctions. Some events we didn't have them. In my background, I would help assist between 15 to 20 kind of larger events a year,
Yep.
sometimes more than that. And they'd range from the attendance of, 150 to 750 attendees is kind of the range that fell upon.
Yeah.
So kind of smaller events to some very large events. And we had some small, kind of higher end events that were less than that were kind of stewardship events as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but they're all, I mean, even in our organization, it was just very different, and it's very different from all your organizations. Yeah. And when I was sharing with Trevor, the silent auction from the world that I came from, it was an area of fundraising that, the high quality items that we would either purchase or our volunteer committees would procure through donations or, partnerships. Those would end up in the live auction. It kind of depended on
Typically. Yeah.
what our capacity was in that event. Some had like you mentioned, a small, maybe small live auction. Some had pretty large and significant live auctions.
Mm-hmm.
The next step down from an auction standpoint was the silent auction area.
Mm-hmm.
That was, typically a fundraising opportunity that was, those items weren't qualified enough to make it to the live auction. They were, hundreds of dollars, if not, tens of dollars type items.
Mm-hmm.
And it was seen as an area, as a fundraising opportunity, but it wasn't a home for, large ticket items. And that's something we want to talk about today. We'll talk about lots of subjects.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of you have lots of experience running silent auctions, and there's tons of different tricks you can do to help increase the interest and, enjoyment and revenue within that. We're going to focus on one today that's really speaking to kind of moving some of those larger ticket items into your silent auction, or going out and sourcing some that you haven't had in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Increase your revenue per item. And you might have a smaller venue. It's a constant problem in the fundraising world of, venue space and, table space.
Real estate. Yeah.
Real estate, 100%. And you might want, a certain number of items in your room, and you want to, as a fundraiser, you want to capitalize on that table space in the area you have. Not raise a few bucks for your mission. You want to raise hundreds or thousands of dollars, per square foot in the room. So we'll dive into that, and I'll kind of share my story. Any questions on that, Trevor? Am I heading down the right?
No, you're doing great. Yeah. And I think that and just so folks get it, I mean, we're going to go, 30,000 foot view here and everything. And we want to get into myopic scenarios, and please pepper us with any questions. Hey, I've got this item and I don't know where to put it, or blah, blah, blah. And I just want to say this though, as well. And just like as a footnote, the silent auction, we're looking at it as an opportunity to raise more money than ever before, because this is our experience. And this is Matt's firsthand experience on being one side of the table. Now he's on our side. And now we're seeing it casting a really wide net at many, many, many events, no matter how big or how small. And what I want to say, just once again, as a footnote, is your misses don't have to end up in the silent auction, right? We can be really, really deliberate, because we can raise as much money for the cause in the silent auction, sometimes as much as we can in the live, right? So let's just, open-minded, and if everyone's already there, then fantastic, but we'll connect the dots. That's what I think. Yeah.
Making it an extension of your live auction, like you just mentioned, where it's an opportunity to raise more money, as opposed to, smaller ticket items. Man, it just brings in more money for the mission, and that's what we're all here to do.
Perfect.
Yeah. So kind of how I got started along this thought process train is, we had a larger event, one of our larger events in the state. It was about a 650 to 750 person attended event, very large fundraising event,
Yep.
raised a lot of money. And I thought, man, the previous year I'd watched this event sell, 2 tickets to a single NFL game for,
Mm.
15,000, and for that, for the value there, we just had supporters at that event that were willing to spend money, to support the mission. Um, so I wanted to start, we weren't using what HGA offers now as vacation packages.
Mhm.
So I come into a certain vacation package. I thought, man, this would be perfect for this event on the live auction.
Mhm.
There was a consignment fee that went with that. We weren't charged it until similar to how we operate, shameless plug at HGA,
Right.
until it was sold.
Yeah.
But the cost for that was between 4 and 5,000.
Mhm.
I was confident as a fundraiser and seeing events from around the state that, man, there's enough opportunity here. This is going to do great for us in this event. We're going to make, very good money and very low risk in my eyes. When I presented it to our, volunteer fundraising committee, they were hesitant to put it within their live auction. They didn't want to have that risk of a minimum in their live auction. And I mean, personally, I think we would have done great with it.
Sure.
But they were just hesitant with it. They
Got to
didn't
meet
want
people
to
where
put it
they're
in.
at. Yeah, I get you.
100%. Yeah. So they turned it down. They turned down the opportunity. So I kind of left that meeting. Gosh, I know we could have made good money with this package within this event. How could we utilize this? And I was driving to meet with the next committee. I had the thought process, well, why don't we just, utilize this in the silent auction and start it with a bid price where we're making money?
Mhm.
The next group I was meeting with had a much smaller fundraiser, probably a 200-person event, much smaller in scale.
Mhm.
And they said, yeah, we'll try it.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks later, they sold 3 different vacation packages in their silent auction and made very, very good money for that event size, for that group. So it kind of opened my eyes. That was just an area we wouldn't have considered. And maybe other places have done that, but just in our world that I came from,
Yep.
this item doesn't belong there. It's thousands of dollars or, $10,000. And it's a live auction quality item. We can't use it there. So it was
Yeah.
kind of opened my eyes to thinking outside the box,
Love it.
or, vacation packages and other items. And I'll
Yeah.
speak to that more. We kind of,
Yeah.
man, this is an opportunity to make more partnerships and offer more,
Yeah.
variety within our silent auction and raise
And
more
it and motivate more bids. I mean, there are people tell me, I mean, Matt, I mean, I'm very, very small, but I mean, there are folks that have trepidation about raising a paddle in the live auction because they don't want the attention.
Right.
There's a certain level of anonymity with the silent sometimes and things of that nature. I mean, so we're taking all comers, you know what I mean? That's what I love about it. And you just said, open your eyes. And I just keep saying, like, I think the worst thing in business and the worst thing for fundraising right now is to be rigid, and not be flexible enough to use new opportunities. Right. So
No
I
doubt.
just interrupted, but anyway, yeah.
No, that's
Yeah.
great. So
Aha moment.
yeah, no, it was an aha moment. We kind of took and ran with that in all of our fundraisers across the state. And
Yeah.
we were adding, at first vacation packages with our silent auction and then expanded upon that.
Yeah.
But it became an incredible fundraiser for us. It was no
Yeah.
risk for the organization. We were able to offer a very broad variety, tap into those initially vacation budgets. And I'll get to the point of the other items that we ended up tapping into that we just didn't have. We didn't have the ability to access those items without going that route. And it didn't make sense to put, that many items in every live auction. We got to the point where we were offering, 4 to 8 vacation packages, typically, probably closer to 6 to 8 in every event. And it was just surprising how many would sell in the silent auction. It just raised an incredible amount of money for our organization.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going down that other opportunities path, it just opened our eyes to what other opportunities have we been turning down that we could capitalize in the silent auction.
Right.
So often our volunteer committees would approach businesses for a donation, and those for, whatever that business did, if it was goods or services, they have hard costs in those, and not all of them.
Operating a business. Yeah.
100%. They can't justify making a full donation. They'd love to support. They believe in the mission or what you're doing, and they just couldn't outright make the full donation. And that's what we were asking for. And if they couldn't do it, we were moving on to the next ask. So what, we eventually started doing from the committee level, and myself as well, is how do we look at this differently if they can't donate it outright, can they partner with us in other ways? And often those turn into opportunities that we used in the silent auction. They might be live auction quality items,
Hmm.
but a great example of this, we were working with an incredible artist.
Oh
She was
yeah, I
an
love this one.
oil
Yeah.
painting artist,
Hmm.
and she did one of one oil paintings, and they were just absolutely immaculate. But as you can imagine, the number of hours and time and
Yeah.
investment she had into that piece, she just couldn't justify it for a business to outright donate that item.
Hmm.
So we went to her and said, what could we work a deal with you for to have this?
Hmm.
And we'd work out a price with her and be able to offer that in our potentially live auction or silent auction
Hmm.
event that we would have never had that item in the past. And what she was willing to do for us, because she was covering her cost and helping the organization out, it was far below that advertised price
Right.
that she was, offering on her website or
Yeah.
elsewhere when she was selling these.
Right.
So it gave us the ability to put items in the room that we would have never come close to, tens of thousands of dollars sometimes of
Right.
these quality items.
Yeah.
And we sold them. We sold them in the silent auction. We sold them in the live auction, and it was just kind
Yeah.
of a change of processes for us. That what opportunities are we passing over that we
Totally.
can add quality items to our event
Yeah.
that we would have had otherwise and raise more money.
2 points that I come up with. Quality items. People want to see this, and that doesn't mean that you can't have a lot of items in your event. So, and we got a question from Laura. Laura, I'll get to that in just 1 second. So huge opportunity. We always are saying people don't want junk. They don't want the same old thing they can get delivered to their door. I'm stealing that from Jay. But do me a favor and just do a quick deep dive, because I think the art thing is an awesome piece. And those things, I mean, my sister did this beautiful canvas for me, and I'm gonna have it forever. It's my sister, but it means the world to me. And I think that these items speak to people, destinations speak to people, experiences speak to people. So can this beautiful, immaculate canvas that this gal was doing. Do me a favor and do a quick deep dive for folks. So it would still offer on consignment, if you would, for lack of a better explanation. But do me a favor, and I could be jumping the gun with what you had planned to say, but I think it's important. But you can use the figure that you use, or you can use an arbitrary figure, Matt. But tell me how we get away from that, and the reason why there's no risk for this if it doesn't sell. Like, what would be the reserve price? Where would you start the bidding? If you don't get any bids, this is what happens, so on and so forth, and kind of speak to that if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I'll dive right into that, Laura. That's a
Yeah.
great question. So we wanted to be rewarded for our efforts. We didn't want to start these at our cost. So we always start these above that.
Everybody listen to this, please. Yeah. Yeah.
And it completely depended on the item. And there's a definite balance there for you. For us, we wanted to start it enough above, our hard costs, our consignment costs, where we're making good money for our efforts. But we didn't want to start it too high where we didn't sell it, or we didn't
Price
have
yourself out. Yeah.
competitive bidding process. And I would encourage you too to think about these items. And when you're offering very significantly large items in your silent auction, don't have your bid prices too high as well, or kind of have an estimate of where this could get to. And and there's a certain time allotment in any event where you're going to run out of time for people bidding. You want to get to that point. You want to offer the bidding increments large enough that you can get to that point within the time allotted to where it would get to, from a price sale standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it really depended on what the item was. I would
Mhm.
encourage you, 20%, maybe 25%, somewhere in there
Is the
up on
opening
your
bid amount.
costs,
Yep.
at least. But
Okay.
it might be, you might get an item that's a very high quality item, and the donor or your consignment partner is able to offer that at a very low cost.
Yeah.
You want to kind of judge that opportunity. You wouldn't want to start that 20% over because you're starting too low. You'd want to start it above, more than that.
Very good.
You're off and running and making more money.
Very good.
I would definitely, if you feel you need to start it where you're breaking even, that might be the type of item you maybe pass on and focus on your efforts elsewhere, or your space in your event,
I love
or
that.
you can at least start it where you're making money, because we don't want to sell it and break even. Our goal is to make money.
Precisely. And we've seen this mistake time and time again, where folks sell it like $5 above the reserve price, or $100 over the reserve. And so, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but just so we can keep it simple, you got a $2,000 reserve canvas. That's your cost. If you sell it, we open the bid at $2,500. That's pretty fair, right? I mean, That's a good,
Mhm.
place to start. What I always like to say to folks is the minute you get a bid, you're in the money. If you don't get any bids, you have the cost of the poster to put it on, or the space on the table. And I don't want to waste that space. We don't experience a lot of attrition. And the reason why is because if there's strategy and thoughtfulness behind this, you're going to have success. So this is experience. These are not opinions. So Laura, we got the question, minimum bid, and then pay the artist that minimum. Yeah. Does that sound about right, Matt?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, pay them that minimum bid. And like you said,
But we started the bid at 20% above the minimum, just so we're clear on that, Laura.
100%. And we hope that runs up, significantly.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we get one bid on it, or maybe it doesn't sell. In the worst case scenario, it doesn't sell. We're not out anything outside of our time and a little space in the event.
Yep, precisely.
A little better. We get one bid and we're making, good money we're happy with. More realistically, that's going to run up to a point we're very happy with.
Yeah.
And make a great margin on that.
Hey, Bev. Thanks for that question. Matt, when you included several vacation packages, some buyers purchased more than one.
They did. Yeah. It was amazing to see that.
Yeah.
There's people that's what they like to do with their, expendable income.
It's exciting.
Vacations.
Yeah.
Whoever your partner is, if there's a long, like our booking period is 2 years.
Yeah.
So if the partner you're working with has, a long booking period. I had one gentleman buy 3 different vacation packages in one event, and they were very expensive packages. So it was a huge for us. And speaking to that event specifically, when I pitched this idea, when it was kind of coming to fruition through all our chapters, I pitched this idea to this same committee that the person bought 3 packages at. I said, guys, we got to try this. It's working really well.
Yeah.
They said, okay, we'll try it, but we want to put out 2 packages. I think it was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Guys, I really encourage you. Let's put out a few more.
Yeah.
It's going to be no cost to us. You have an event that can handle the space, that's not much space. And we put out probably between 6 and 7 packages. Well, there was 3 packages they didn't list. They would not have chosen the ones that they liked that sold that night. And they probably sold 6 to 7 packages that night. Different.
It would have been out thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. And after they saw that, and I had seen it elsewhere, I had that benefit of hindsight.
Yeah, the experience. Yeah.
Once they saw that, I thought, man, this was incredible opportunity. And the last year I worked with them, they sold around 10 vacation packages within that event. Yeah. And they had a pretty large silent auction. And we started with having, these vacation packages or premium items, whatever we had, those paintings, like I mentioned, we had some other high-end bronzes and all kinds of things. Had it in one area in the room, and that works well.
Speak to this, Matt. This is a big point. When you have a lot of silent auction items, but you have some really high value items as well. Speak to this, Matt.
Yeah. So this can be done 2 different ways in these higher end items that I'm speaking to. At first, we started out separating this in the room. We had a spot and we tried to make a big deal about it. We call it the super silent.
Super silent. Yeah. Vacation station, super silent. Yeah.
Yeah. Vacation station's another great name.
Yeah.
And we draw attention to that and decorate it up, and we'd have all these high premium items in one area. And that works really well. I think if you don't have a silent auction, it works really well if you do have a silent auction.
Yeah.
What I came to realize is it worked better for us when we typically had, fairly significant silent auctions within our events, is kind of mixing those items throughout.
How many items? Give me an example. How many items you're talking about? 50 plus?
Yeah. It could be anywhere from 20 to over 100, like yours.
There you go.
But kind of a intermixing of these premium items with our silent auction did 2 things. It made our silent auction look, much more appealing. It looked, man, our event is rocking with these premium items.
Yep.
It also, some of these, it didn't make it look out of place in the room. Some of the stuff, it became part of our event, and people went away from thinking, man, their entire, silent auction spread was very significant and impressive. Where when we were doing it at times and adding it just in one station in the room, not tied to the rest of our silent auction, it almost seemed kind of injected into the room, I guess. It's
sure.
Perception.
Less organic, I guess, or less natural, maybe even. Yeah.
But to contradict that point, we had a stewardship event where we didn't have a silent auction, or had a very, very small silent auction.
Totally. Yeah.
We had around 8. We added these higher premium items
Hmm.
as the silent auction to the event,
Standalone. Yeah.
standalone, because we weren't, offering a silent auction.
So that's going to be for you folks out there that are like, we're having a live auction. We have a revenue enhancer. We have a fund to need, this, that, and the other thing. We have a wine pool. We haven't had a silent auction in the last 5 years or since COVID, but we're willing to give this a shot. You know what I mean? So then we don't have a choice. You're not going to create a 50 item silent auction, from scratch, right? But you could take 8 to 10 really premium high end items and make those available to the folks in the room, the folks that are bidding online, right? So that's
Yeah.
the cool part.
In that example, that's very distinct to my mind. We added that to the event. It was about a 150-person event,
Mhm.
kind of stewardship event. We
Mhm.
sold 13 vacation packages within
Yeah.
that silent auction that we added.
Yep.
Um,
Awesome.
and we sold a couple other things. We sold a painting, we sold a bronze, we sold a few other items that were in that kind of premium thing.
Mhm.
So that turned that event. I mean, that was a huge boost to that event,
Yeah.
as far as a net revenue. Uh,
Cool.
yeah.
No, I think that's huge. I like that. That was another eye opener for me, man. Learning every day. I think it's cute. I think it's huge. Bev, I wanted to piggyback on Matt's answer about that. Is absolutely, folks, buy more than one. What was interesting, I just had, and I already told Matt, so sorry, but it happened last weekend. We had an event where they did 2 fundraisers in 1 year, one in the fall, one in the spring. That's pretty common, and or in a calendar year. And the gentleman got on the horn with me and he said, "Oh yeah, we had a lady buy another travel item." And I said, "Oh, that's awesome." And he's like, "Yeah, she just bought one in the fall, but she hasn't even taken the trip yet. She just really liked the interaction with your hospitality team, and she had confidence, and she loves traveling, and so she bought another one because she's gonna, you know what I mean?" And so that would, and they raised $1,500 with one purchase net. You know what I mean? So I'm speaking to our experience, but this could be any item, right? Any high ticket item, and we always typecast, and I guess hey man, we're warriors for the silent auction now, right? You know what I mean? We always typecast the silent auction. That's where we kind of got to put the stuff. And we always tell stories about, like, you'll walk into an executive director's office and there'll be leftover items, from the years previous. And, it'll be like, oh, okay, that's going to end up in the silent auction again next year. You know what I mean? Because that's where we put that stuff. And once again, this is fundraising now. And the creativity and the flexibility and being open to opportunities like this is all we're asking and all imploring folks to do. So good stuff, and great questions, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt, Paula's had a question. Thanks, Paula, for always sharing. Besides art and trips, what companies help out in your experience that would help you do that? Maybe motorcycles or cars. Whoa, something else unusual, which I think is awesome. This is a question for Matt, but I'll say, Paula, donors are consumers at the end of the day, and consumers like variety, and consumers like exciting, and consumers like things that they can see a video on before they bid, and they like info, but they like cool stuff. And donors have access and affluence, and they like cool stuff, right? So yeah, Matt, any experience with that kind of stuff? Is maybe a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah, I mean, so we would have a little bit of variety of everything. And it's not just goods and services.
Yeah.
Like Paul mentioned, experiences are a great thing.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, and services are a good thing. I guess we didn't really talk about that. You might
Sure.
have a company that offers a high quality service. It's not, it might be a good fit for there.
Totally.
And another thing I haven't mentioned yet to consider as well is when you
Please.
strike these partnerships or these deals or consignment deals, consider asking, so that your first, I guess your committee's first question or your volunteer's first question or your first question might be, hey, would you be willing to donate? Your
Mhm.
follow-up question might be, okay, how else could we partner? How could we get this into our event?
Mhm.
If you strike a deal that way, man, can we offer more than one of these? If we have more than one buyer that's willing to make this purchase, would it be good for your business, or sustainable for you, or good for both of us
Yep.
if we were able to sell more than one of these?
I
And
love
that
it.
will open up opportunities in the sound and potentially live. And I don't want to go back. I'm not encouraging, if you have live auction quality items, those should be in your live auction if they make sense. This is a way to make an extension of your live auction quality into your silent
There you
auction.
go. There
So
you go.
don't, if you have an event that's very big, I wouldn't encourage you to put, I mean, it could be a combination of the two. Maybe you have, what we're talking about in your live.
Mhm.
uh, we do vacations, so we're kind of in that world, but Maybe you have a vacation or several in your live, and then you offer a broader variety or very high end, very different packages than what you're offering in your live, because it doesn't make sense to offer some of those opportunities. We have some incredibly high end packages, Trevor,
Yeah.
uh, at
So yeah.
HGA, and you
Yeah.
might not be comfortable offering that in your live auction, but
Yeah.
man, there's probably one person in your room or
Put the opportunity
multiple
there.
people in your room
Yep.
have the capacity and the propensity to support your organization and buy
Yeah.
that package.
I love that.
So it
I love
allows
that.
you to offer a very broad variety in your event. But I'm just make sure your live auction is that's the most competitive place in the room, and that's where you'll
Yeah.
drive the biggest prizes. But this can be a nice extension of that if run correctly.
I
Um,
love that. I love that. Bev, thanks a ton for always sharing once again. And great question. And we're constantly nudging folks to do this because you can. We've proven it with partners. Matt's done it in real time. Sell multiple vacation packages, trips, or experiences in the silent auction. Matt, how would you go about doing that if you had the opportunity to sell more than one, if it wasn't a
yeah,
one-off donation?
it's definitely, you need to judge the situation, and you don't want to compromise your silent auction bidding. But if it was a small enough setting, there was times where, just as Beverly mentioned,
Hmm.
I would handle it similar to what we did in the live auction. If I had a couple bidders that were coming up, and I, knew who was bidding on it, and that item had gotten to a point that, man, we're doing really well with this.
Hmm.
I might, pull that person aside and say, hey, would you be willing to buy this package at that point? I'd like to offer it to you and the other bidder that you're
Yep.
competing against.
Yep.
I don't want to, cause issues with you, but helps us raise more money for the mission. And as long as you presented that always with a mission standpoint, hey, we've worked with the company, they've, we that we're, wherever the product is, or
Hmm.
and we're able to sell a second one, would you be willing at the same price? We'll get the same product for each of you.
Yep.
We'll deliver the next one after the event, whatever it might be.
Yep.
That's a great way to do it if the setting's appropriate for that.
Absolutely.
Another great way that I did this a lot is when that
Mhm.
person comes up and checks out at the end of the evening, you can share with them if you've worked out a deal with whatever, whoever you're working with, you know you can sell more than one. I would always offer that person, hey, if it was an experience, do you have anyone else in the room, friends, family, that would like to go on this experience with you? We'll honor the same bid price for you, and they could buy the same package or the same item at the same price.
Yep.
Likewise, I would give that person the opportunity. Okay, you don't have anybody in the room. Well, we'll keep this offer open until next week. I would
Yeah.
typically give people a deadline, even if I didn't have a deadline with the item,
I think
just to
it's
encourage
smart.
them to follow up with me and kind of put
Yeah.
time on that.
Yeah.
But hey, if you have someone you want to speak to, friends or family that's interested in going on this trip with you, or whatever the item is, wants another one of these items, let me know by the end of next week or middle of next week, whatever it is, and we'll be glad to set you up at the same price, and so you can go together and make it an experience together.
Absolutely.
So we'd have people follow up with us the next week.
Yeah.
uh, we'd sold one package, or item, whatever it is. Pretty soon they come and want one, two, three more,
Yep.
so friends and family can all go together. So that
Love
item,
that.
they might be from a different state, so we're pulling in money that was not in the room that night and raising for the organization.
Perfect.
That was
Two
it.
things speak to me with that is, I just love the idea of follow up post event. I think that that's a very underutilized tool. If you're using software, all of that data's, basically on your reporting and your back end, and you have to use that. It's a giant roadmap on how to raise money in the moment and how to raise money in the future and how to identify donors, how to identify future committee members, so on and so forth. Long chain of goodness. And I just think folks underutilize the power of reaching out and making those opportunities available. If you have something that's obviously popular, that was obviously effective, why not share it? And, Matt brings up a great point. Once again, he did it in real time. You can let technology do the work for you as well post event. But, we see a lot of folks do this. Hey, we had a great live auction time. We sold it 5 times, but we're going to send it out and we're going to give the offering. I've got a school doing it right now as we speak. I just spoke to him this morning. We're doing the Cabo and the Caribbean. We're such great sellers at the event. We've already got confirmed buyers, but we wanted to make it available to everyone. They're hitting up their alumni, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles of the kids in the school, and the parents that couldn't make it for instance, at the live event, and they're selling more packages. And every time they do, they're netting a minimum of $1,000. So just creative, but also strategic. Obviously, it's just a smart thing to do, right? And that's how you sell multiples, Bev. I hope that really, really helps.
Yeah.
In the silent, I think that it helps having folks that are outgoing and magnanimous, understand the room, they understand the donors, they recognize people, they've developed these relationships. Realize this too, big picture, you're developing relationships in real time that maybe didn't exist. So you got someone that's willing to spend $4,500, $5,000, you enter the figure on an item at your event that maybe you've never met before. Well, now you've got a $5,000 level donor. And how long do you work to acquire those in your day to day, right? So there's another huge opportunity to create relationships and develop relationships that weren't even there previously. So once it could just follow that map, So more questions, great questions, everybody. Thanks a ton.
Sure.
Paula, thanks for the feedback there, Matt. I haven't heard of sound waves, but that sounds fantastic. That's cool.
We missed one here from Tierra.
Oh, pardon me.
A question about the consignment fee, I guess.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that was the tax question. My bad.
Yeah. So I passed accounting. I don't play accountant, I guess, but
I took managerial accounting before I dropped out of college. Yeah.
maybe answer this better than I could. But I think they would take the difference from the fair market value and what your consignment fee you're paying them for, and they can write off the difference. Is that
absolutely correct? Yeah. And then Tierra, a couple of things from an accounting perspective. I'll go big picture and then we'll go deductibility. These items are a cost of goods sold, by the way, they're not expenses. So if you have any accountants on your committee or board, they'll understand that. These opportunities are a cost of goods sold. So don't let that stop you from using opportunities like this, because they're not expenses. If they do not sell, you do not owe the provider anything. You probably realize that. It's just a real friendly reminder for everyone if they haven't been exposed to consignment opportunities or any items like this that are offered with a reserve price. Okay, so keep that in mind. These are not expenses. These are cost of goods sold. So it's very, very important that we realize that. And then as far as, what we do, we advise that folks take, and Matt did this with the artists, the tax portion is the reserve price, and everything above and beyond that is a donation, and that's what the donor would write off. So we always advise that you give your donors the opportunity to write off the maximum amount. So when they're asking for the cost, just give them the reserve price. So if we sell something for $1,995 and it sells for $4,000, we have them use the reserve price as the true cost of that item, so the donor can write off the maximum. So I'm not an accountant. I'm all, and I don't even play one. But that being said, that's how we go about it, just so it can benefit the donor greatly, right? Or to the best of our ability. And I think that's a good way to go about it. It's a sound practice. So
I have two more ways to sell multiples.
Let's do it.
There. So one that we tried, and I know some organizations do, or some of my past counterparts do, and have had success with. I didn't. I went away from it. Was instead of using the traditional silent auction bid sheet, where it's progressively increments of goes higher and higher as people bid. They would offer a sheet, and I tried this initially of it was just one price for that item that you were happy with, and if you had the capacity to sell multiples,
someone
could put their bidder number down, and
sort of like an instant win, like an instant win.
Okay, cool. We'll get to that, but it was just an outright sale. That for me didn't work as well. So I went away from it. I like just the bidding process. I think that did better for me. But
powerful. It's powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. The other way, it depends on kind of your event structure, how you time your closing your silent and whatnot. We had success with doing kind of a paddle raise, calling attention to the room, not necessarily including one of these items, premium items in a live auction, but saying, hey, this package just sold, or whatever it would be. This is an incredible trip. You guys missed out. You didn't make it over here. If you're to get to the event, does anybody in the room want this item at this price? You won't be disappointed.
Wow.
Just ask for a paddle raise in the room. And we might get 1, 2, 3 people in the room that hadn't made it over this to the silent auction.
They didn't even know it existed. They haven't left their table yet.
They got busy talking to their friends or whoever it was. And man, we just sold. We were selling 1. Now we just sold 4.
So good.
You got to
Yeah.
use that the right way, but it's certainly an opportunity if you have time in the event and
Yeah. Use the
someone
auctioneer or MC. Yeah. I love that.
100%, 100%. And that's,
Good.
yeah, that's a good transition to that. I would say, you need to use that person, your MC auctioneer, to pump these items up, get people over there because they might not expect, there to be these high quality items in your event if you haven't had
Mhm.
those in the silent auction in the past. So them hyping it up throughout the evening or you hyping it up in your marketing materials
Mhm.
will help drive attention to the event.
So good. Yeah. I think that's
Silent
huge.
auction.
I think that's huge. Yep, just twisting the dial here. These are nothing's earth shattering, but hopefully folks are definitely taking this into consideration. A question from Paula. Thank you again, Paula. It doesn't have to be your last one, by the way. You haven't hit your limit yet. You did you share the weather, Paula? So you get 10 questions today. That's your limit. Can you start the auction before the event, Matt? Does that help or devalue the item?
I think it would help. I think if you have a way to open that up, digitally before the event,
Preview
that
even? Yeah.
momentum going, yeah,
Yeah.
preview or starting the bidding,
I love it.
why not? I would encourage that. I think that's a good
I
call.
think if you have technology at your ready, Paula, which we would really hope that you would, and no offense if you don't, but we think that, and once I'm going big picture, and Matt, speak to this as well if you like. We think that these premium items are a great way to generate interest in your event.
Hmm.
We're telling folks regularly to take videos. Let's say you're going to put like our Tuscany villa, only speaking from our experience. It could be any villa for that matter, right? But you take our Tuscany villa, we've got a rockin' video that goes with it. We've got some rockin' images of this amazing villa with a pool, and it's in historical northern Italy, and it's just amazing, right? Picturesque to say the very least. Well, that generates interest for ticket sales, sponsorships, underwriting, potential bidding, all of these things. You could do this 90 days out from the start of your event. So I'm going big picture. Okay. Then
100%.
to myopically, um, absolutely, we're big believers in previewing, having these items previewed or opening the bidding a week before the event even takes place. So, and not to mention what can be done post event once again to where the interest was there. Hey man, people get up and use the restroom during the live auction because they have to, and they missed, you know what I mean? Oh man, I saw a lot of excitement, what was going on? Hit them with an email post event and give them the opportunity, or reach out to them again, the night of or whatnot, stuff like that. So full spectrum, but yeah, be very very, there's so many different cool opportunities that just generate interest and more bids. That's the idea,
Yeah.
so
Just to tag on that, you hit it spot on. I mean, offering these premium packages or whatever it is, premium items that you wouldn't have had in your event otherwise
yeah,
is a great marketing
it's
opportunity.
fun.
And
It just makes it fun.
like you
Yeah.
said, you're attracting customers to
Yeah.
come to an event that might not have otherwise, or they've known it to a certain, how it was for a certain number of years. Man, they have all this cool stuff. We definitely saw it. We started attracting a higher clientele to our events that were coming to support us because we were having the best party. We are trying to have the best party, the best items in town.
The most fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's fun.
And you're going to start attracting people and highlighting your mission with people that never even knew about you. They're invited. It looks like it'd become a fun party. I can't tell you how many times that we've seen this happen where someone that had never given to a mission went because it just seemed like an exciting party. They got invited. They're at a table. They raise their paddle in the air and buy something for $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 at the event that had never heard about your mission before. And now you have yourself a $10,000 donor that you can create a relationship. Once again, how long does that usually take in your day to day to establish one of those relationships or one of those donors? It's amazing. You know what I mean? So yeah, keep pushing the envelope on that, folks. I hope that helps. And more questions, please. As you can tell, Matt and I are caffeinated and we're ready to go. Hit me, brother. What you got?
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the notes I had here, and we can send something out after this, and it'll
I
kind of
think
have
we
some different
should. Yeah,
ideas.
absolutely.
Keys to
Oh,
success.
it also bears mentioning, folks. Matt is super easy to reach. We're always really easy to reach. Matt, MATT at hgafundraising.com. If you have any silent auction questions or any auction questions for that matter, reach out to Matt. And he's happy to help you. We're always happy to help you. You can reach out to me, but I want you to reach out to Matt first if you like.
Yeah.
And let's continue this conversation even post webinar. So if anything, pops and becomes top of mind after this swirls around for a bit, please feel free to reach out, because we're happy to help however we can. It doesn't have to have anything to do with our items. We just want to see you win and succeed in this space, and let us know. So please do not be bashful about reaching out, because we're here to help. Matt, truly, I knew Matt as a client before Matt was on our team, and he's truly, truly one of the most prolific fundraisers I've ever met. So we're tickled and over the moon to have him on our team now, because he's a wealth of knowledge. He's done it from both sides, everybody. Okay. So, Audrey, well, have you used a consignment company? I'm not going to advertise any other consignment companies because we are one, Audrey. So we offer trips and experiences and software. So anyway, but yeah, and Matt, speak to it. I mean, you worked with a few, with outfitters and folks traveling, doing African safaris, video photo safaris and things like that. So, but as I just mentioned, Audrey, and I don't mind repeating myself, Matt was a client, and that's how we met, and our relationship was really, oh, no, don't be sorry at all. No, I love it, Audrey. Don't be sorry at all. And hey, but guess what? We're really, really fun to work with, because if there's something that we don't have that you need, we can make a recommendation. You know what I mean? That
100%.
kind of
No,
thing. We want,
that's
want to
That's
see
a
you
great
win.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was a variety. But for us, it opened up, I guess this process that we've talked about today
Yeah.
had opened up the opportunity to work directly with companies or vendors or,
Yeah.
you know, whoever it was in
Yeah.
a local community. They,
Hmm.
they weren't being approached the way that we were approaching them. They might be asked for donations, and like would have turned us down. We were just offering a different way for them to support us.
Hmm.
And they might be able to do that for one item. They might be able to do that for multiple items. And
Hmm.
like some of
Hmm.
those that I mentioned, if there was an opportunity, I worked with multiple committees, or we had multiple events throughout the year, like I was saying, up to 20 events.
Hmm.
There might be a local, business you work with that believes in your cause, and it's advantageous for them, or it works for them, or you're covering their costs. So we would, build that relationship, and where we were maybe getting something very small from them in the past locally, that built into a very large opportunity statewide in all the events we were running, because it
100%.
made sense for them. It got them new, potentially new customers in the door, whatever it was. And we benefited off that relationship, and they
Yep.
did as well in all of our events.
Yep.
So yeah, there's multiple approaches, I guess, Audrey. It could be local, it could be, certain companies you work with, like HGA. And that's, like Trevor mentioned, the organization I was working with, we saw the opportunity of trips and these larger ticket items, and we were hungry to get them. And that's how I got to know Trevor and Jason so well, is they made it so easy for us to, man, we knew these were there, we knew they were high quality,
Hmm.
we knew we could put a spread out in the room, we knew the customers were going to be taken very well care of after the event, we knew we had no worries there. And
Hmm.
that's another thing I would very encourage you, any company you're working with, whether it's, a one-off business or a different consignment company, make sure they're the right company to work with, and they're not going to create you more headache down
Vet
the
them.
road.
Vet them.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, whoever it is, just make
for
sure you're
sure.
not, taking on the opportunity and creating more headaches for yourself down the road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how I got to know, Trevor and Jason so well, as we sold a lot of HGA packages, and it was just a great relationship for both of us. We were raising money for our cause, and supporting HGA all along the way.
So
So
good. Yeah, and then hey, by the way, y'all, this probably will sound altruistic, but I'm being dead serious. If you have another consignment company, we know I have friends in the space to this day that I guess you can call quote unquote competitors, but I don't view it that way, because we're all raising money for some really amazing organizations. Use us as a sounding board if you have some questions about vetting some of these organizations, and we'll give you a fair shake. I don't like to speak poorly about anyone, but I know good and I know bad, and I know ones that we'll recommend, and it does not have to be us, because there's things that we do not carry in our catalog, and we're happy to have that conversation with you at any time, because we have so much experience doing this, thousands, literally thousands of events. Please use us as a sounding board. We're happy to give you our time. We do that for free. So I would rather see that. Please just take my word for it. I'd rather see that and use us as that as that vessel, so you're not experiencing. We don't want to see you experience any pain, and most importantly, we don't want to see your donors experience any pain because they're your lifeblood, and it takes, for funds, and it takes so much work to develop those relationships. You know what I mean? So please take us up on that. We have a couple more. Audrey, thank you so much, by the way, for coming on last minute. It's awesome. We see a lot of new people every week, and we've done 110 of these. But I will say, Audrey, I'm going to ask a favor. Can you share it with someone in your network? You can share it with a neighbor, a friend, a loved one, or someone that runs a nonprofit. So do me that favor if you don't mind. Really, really glad that you came on. That's fantastic. That's how we get the word out. Tiara, great questions. Thanks so much. Oh, I love this one, Matt. I love this one. Okay, cool. Because I've only read the first line, but we speak of this often. Is it appropriate to beef up a smaller item with multiple items to make something silent auction worthy? Love it. If so, any suggestions on how to make a smaller item more appealing? I have thoughts. Matt, take it away, brother.
Yeah, so it touches on a couple of things I want to talk about. We had committees, I guess we always wanted to get out of kind of a value buy mindset within our events. We wanted to create a philanthropic giving mindset in our event.
Shoppers and donors. Yep.
100%. So yep. What some of our committees would do, they would bundle items in a silent auction that had kind of intangible value. So there wasn't this, I know what I can look up, one item on Amazon and how much I can get it for.
Exactly.
People are price shopping.
Yep.
Another point with that is we would never list fair market values on any of our products. If we wanted to, and for that reason, people would just think, man, this is how much it's worth. I'm going to bid up to that price and then stop bidding. We wanted to encourage people, man, and encourage your MC and auctioneer throughout the evening, whoever's on the microphone, man, we are here giving to the organization because you believe in the cause that we're trying to accomplish here tonight. So try to set that stage early and often, or every time you can, speak your mission. Another thing we would use is called instant win in the silent auction, where like I said, we wouldn't necessarily use a fair market value, which some organizations do on items. We'd have an instant win price.
Yep.
That was kind of the high water mark, people knew that how we ran it, they could buy that item right then if they wanted to, but we moved that high enough, that it would be very advantageous for us if someone bought it for that price.
For sure.
Kind of replace that fair market value and kind of set that high watermark to encourage people to bid, but it wasn't necessarily a fair market value. So we're raising money for a cause, and you need to be transparent about that and not shy.
I love that. I love the instant win idea because of the psychology behind it. It creates a ceiling. I just love having a ceiling. You know what I mean? I think it's okay to be lofty with it. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think it's great. Super, super good. So yeah, Tara, we're big believers in, we tell the story of, don't put one $50 gift card as a silent auction standalone. You probably got a bunch of gift cards donated, for instance, in this illustration. Take a bunch of them, a collection of them, and sell them as feed your kid for a month at college or something like that. Jason's got some great feedback on that one, my partner. And, you can do that with wine. You can do that with different alcohol items and create a big old basket, but get creative. That way we can bring the value in a psychological sense, what the perceived value higher. And I think that's a really good idea. Bev had a question. We have a beneficiary that has donated 3 naming rights. This is a good question, Matt. Because you know Jay so well, Bev, I'd really like to hear his question to this too. But and it's not too specific. I dig it. Our beneficiary has donated 3 naming rights spots in the building that is being constructed. What is your advice about placement of this donation? Bundle the 3, sell separately, live auction, silent auction, paddle race. And Bev, is it your building? That you're raising money for, that you're building in the moment, things of that nature? Kind of give me some feedback there. But go ahead, Matt. We'll start with a question and then.
It's a great question. That's one
I think so.
I'd have to think about for a little bit. My first reaction is I would not bundle them.
That's mine too. Yeah.
I
think there's value. There's value. And who knows what one foundation or one person or one family is probably not going to buy all 3. It doesn't really.
Right. I think there's more opportunity if you separate those. Kind of thinking about, and it kind of depends on what your events are. If it's one event or multiple events, it's in one area. I'm sure if it's a donation for a building, so it's probably one event.
Hmm.
They could be separate items in your live auction. You could use them in different ways in the event.
I love that.
Um, I mean,
I think you have a lot of flexibility. I think that's a very
uh,
bespoke offering, and I mean that in the best possible way. I think it's really cool.
it's very cool.
And I think there's a building that will house multiple social service resources. Yeah, I would. Thanks for the feedback, Bev. Yeah, I would separate those. I think those are really, really cool.
Do we know what the value is, Beverly, of
Yeah,
that
right
roughly?
now. I mean, or is it just something that we can make up out of thin air? Because that's a, I mean, that's a forever thing. You know what I mean? That's a legacy thing. That's a
Cool.
legacy item. So I think there's a lot of value there. I think it's even something that you could sell that's not even in the auction, as a matter of fact. Just my 2 cents. I don't know. So I'm playing with that one. I want to defer to Jason, and I'm going to bring this up to him because I'm going to talk to him this afternoon. He's actually flying right now, and I'm going to see what he has to say, Bev, and we'll follow up with you. I think that's really, really cool. Laura, great feedback. We often group smaller items together to create a package. Yeah, for example, several gift. Exactly. I think that's really, really smart. Paula, was it, do your packages include flight to locations like Cabo? Was that the question? We don't. I'd be very wary of items that do. I was staunchly opposed when we started the company of including airfare because it was cost prohibitive, and I wanted to be very, very competitive with price. Now that is a twofold answer. Since the advent, or not the advent, pardon me, but since what we've been through globally with travel in the last few years, so many folks are sitting on credits and points and miles and canceled trips, which would be credits and things of that nature, layered in with a particular affinity to fly a certain class and also with a certain carrier. I can't stand Southwest because they canceled 40% of their flights the other day. Those are opinions that people have, right? Well, and another thing is, if you're a provider of these items, you're not including first class airfare. It's cost prohibitive, right? So then what we end up seeing from seeing it from afar, and with other examples that with other providers, is folks end up getting pigeonholed into 24-hour flights, and I'm taking red eyes because because they're keeping their costs down, because they're operating a business too. I don't blame them for that. However, I don't think it's necessary. And when you have folks that want to travel, they have the means to pay for the transportation. They want to do it their way. And then we give them ample time to plan anyway. So there's so much going in that same direction. Then last point with us, they're only working with our reservations team. There's no third party interaction, and our reservations team can help them book their airfare. We do that as a customer service initiative. It is not an additional cost. So hope that helps. Bev, great feedback. Paula, makes sense. Thank you so much. And then Calvin, I always group items together to bring up the values. I think it's smart. Yeah. I also do large restaurant gift packages at values of 750, 12. Perfect. Great money makers. Perfect. Thanks for the feedback, Calvin. That's awesome. Sherry's got a question for you, Matt. Sherry, thanks. Good to see you, Sherry. Going back to instant win price, what would a lofty but reasonable markup be? I got some examples, but go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. It's a tough question to answer because there's such a variety of, what your cost could be. Like I said before, it's hard to put it on a percentage basis over
Sure.
cost or
Sure.
or even over retail value because I mean, you want to make that attainable, but it needs to be kind of lofty.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
have to think about that. It's kind of an item to item basis.
Mm-hmm.
We have recommendations on what we offer in our silent auction bid sheets. We have that kind of set of kind of just our suggestion. You can take that any way you want to go.
Yeah.
Um,
I can give you an example. I
yeah,
can
go
give an
ahead.
example. Yeah, I mean, like, so you got a reserve item that's excuse me, an item where the reserve price is $19.95. Let's just call it $2,000.
Mhm.
I could argue an instant win of 5,000. I could argue that if we hit it, I'm ecstatic for you. Okay. But we're opening the bid at 2,500, and that 5,000 could seem lofty. Don't know. You could argue 4,500. Either way, it's a huge win. 4,500 is over 100% return on your investment. However, put it at 5,000, put it at 49.95, whatever the number might be. It's arbitrary at this point, but open the bidding at 2,500. The minute you get a bid, you're in the money. And I like the instant win because if we get it, massive win, right? That's huge. But it creates a psychological ceiling, right? And I think that's what the purpose actually at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, that's what it's going to do is create that ceiling, that perception. And I have no problem telling you, you're not always, it's not going to be super, super common that you're going to get that instant win, but the fact that it's there has a purpose. That's how I feel.
For sure. No, that's a great answer. That's spot on. Spot on, Trevor.
Well, I stole it from someone. But,
that's very good. No, you were spot
on. What did we say? There's no original thoughts anymore. We're just sharing information at this point. Hey, everybody. Wow. Okay. Well, this is obviously a topic that we can revisit because I could very easily, thanks so much for the feedback, by the way, see us spending 2 hours on this. Oh, thanks, Sherry. Awesome. Reach out to me, reach out to Matt. If you have any other questions, Sherry, piecing any items together, stuff like that, we're happy to help. And like I said, it's really good to see you. So thanks for coming. Hey, everyone, thanks so much for being here. I've got a winner of the auction item. Thank you, Tiara. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate you. Thank us by reaching out and sharing this. That would be the biggest thank you that you can give us, and we really, really appreciate it. We have a winner, and let's see, it was randomized and sent over to me. It is actually Tiara Power. Thanks so much, Tiara. So you're going to get an auction item. We'll send it over to you with the recording and all that stuff and some notes. Matt's got a beautiful Word doc about silent auctions and how to use them, and super, super good stuff. I could keep rambling, like I said, for another hour about this. We're fascinated with this topic. Matt, true expert in the space, brother. I can't thank you enough for coming. Everyone, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and share this as mentioned. Check out our podcast, Hey Nonprofits Raise More Money. They're coming out Mondays and Thursdays, wherever you consume your pods. Matt's going to be on there talking about silent auction and everything fundraising with us as well. So can't thank everybody enough for coming. Have a great rest of your week and raise some more money. Thanks, everybody. Good stuff. Appreciate you. Thanks, brother. Awesome.